Welcome back, my friends, for another fun reloading video. Today we are further refining our hand loads here with our 9mm 143 grain flat nose projectiles. These are from the MP 359125 and they have different inserts where you can have hollow points or this flat point here. So today we're going to continue on with this load here and dialing it in. So we're just going to jump right into it here. At the end of our last video, we decided that our final charge of 3.3 grains gave us both the best function as well as the best group of the day. We only had slight cratering on our brass, which we can review here in a second, and we had pretty good numbers with our velocity, an average of 896, extreme spread of 30, and standard deviation of 10. Those are pretty good for pistol cartridges as far as I'm concerned. And we did have matching brass. They were all Norma head stamps. We didn't quite see any super high pressure signs, and we still had round edges on our primers as well. So here's a look at our brass. On the left side we had our 2.9 grain charge where you can still see this slight cratering, which isn't caused by pressure, rather just a characteristic of my specific pistol. Because if we come over here to the other 3.3 grain charge, we can see the same sort of cratering, but we still have rounded edges and there is no primer flowing into this space here. And while it looks like cratering, it's not specifically a direct indication of pressure for every gun. So you'll just have to see what yours likes to do. But for mine, I'm gonna feel safe if we bump up by 1/10 or maybe even 2, just to help improve function and see if our spreads and deviations grow or shrink at all here while we fill up the rest of our case capacity. And for today's test, I'm going to use 10 pieces of the Norma brass from the first video. We're going to test 3.4 grains. And then I'm going to use 10 more with random head stamps this time, again with 3.4 grains. So we're going to see if 10 with the same head stamp, how consistent those are. And then we'll compare that with 10 random cases and see how the internal case volume changes those velocity numbers for that group. Here we have our 10 pieces of Norma brass that have already been prepped and primed, ready to go. They're already expanded. All we have to do is dump our powder and seat the bullets, crimp them up, and we'll be good to go. And on this side we have our 10 mixed head stamps, also fully prepped and primed and ready to go. So we have a piece of Blazer, PMC, is that a Starline perhaps? Spear, PPU, Perfecta, CBC, Ammo Inc., Federal, and a piece of Norma. So we're going to use these 10 cases as our mixed head stamp group and compare that to our control with matching head stamps. This way, if it performs similarly between the two groups here, I can just call this my plinking load and we'll be good to go as long as we don't have any overpressure signs. So this loading block is huge. I have to pick the cases up to charge the powder in them. Here's our Hodgdon white dot powder, aka 700X. Make sure nothing's sticking to our funnel there. Quick look at our case fill. It is getting up there. A nice full case there, but we can see probably not quite compressed, which is just where we want it. I just have to be very careful setting these in here to not spill any while I'm switching them out, filling them up. 2 down, 8 more to go for this group. And then we'll get all these seated here at once before moving on to our mixed up head stamps here. As usual, a quick look at our cases to make sure nothing is double charged or missing a charge. We look good here. Let's go ahead and set up our seating die. So speaking of our seating die, if you can see the tip of the bullet, you'll notice we've got sort of a ring and then a different sort of radius on the ogive before it goes down to the real ogive. And that is thanks to our Lee seating stem that we were using. Obviously meant for a Full Metal Jacket or round nose sort of projectile. So, stolen right from old Elvis Ammo, using what would go in the ram of your press to size your bullets. You turn this over, throw it in your seating die, and now I have a flat nose seating stem. Woo! So we can raise up our dummy round up in there and simply thread the stem onto it, and that should get us pretty close and not booger up our nose there on the bullet. So to improve our chances as much as possible, I weight sorted these, and they're all right at 142.7 to 142.9 grains. So we should be pretty consistent in that department. So hopefully that'll help us rather than hurt us. These cases have been flared, but it's going to be a little tight there. Didn't have any scraping of our powder coat. Let's check our overall length here. We're just a hair long, so we'll come down on that. Perfect. So I'm just using this as a seating die. We are not crimping in this stage. I'm going to crimp all together at the very end. Uh-oh. Looks like we had a bit of scrapage on this one, so we'll have to watch out. Check our barrel after we're done. Make sure we don't get any leading. But I'm going to have to make sure we also get a little more expansion on these cases here next time. All the others are coming out clean so far. So 9 out of 10, we had pretty good success. Just that one with the little bit of scraping of the powder coat off the side there. That was just me not having enough expansion on the case mouth. No big deal there. But let's get these others measured out and we'll keep moving on. Okay, so before this last group here we have to measure out our powder for, I went ahead and expanded out the mouths with our universal expanding die. So now our bullets fit right in there just perfectly, and the case will stick to it just as we like, but still not over expanding that. So we'll be good to go here. I just wanted to do that just so we don't have any more scraping or any other issues like that seating these bullets with the mixed brass. Alright, so you can't tell, but I've been away from the bench for several hours, and now that I'm stepping back, let's double check our zero here and make sure we still have the correct powder. And we'll call that just about zeroed. And that's still our 700X. We're clear here for powder. Okay, really though, you should double check everything if you step away from your bench and make sure nothing else changed. So we're back to 3.4 grains here. And this little guy should get us pretty close. And finish it off with the trickle. There it is. And what's our first case gonna be? I should have looked at the head stamp, I guess, before I filled it full of powder. We'll have to figure that one out later. So here's our case fill across our mixed head stamps. It looks pretty consistent, but we're not going to be able to tell the difference between a couple of grains or, case fill percentage or anything like that. But we'll get on to seating here and then finally crimp everything, give them a good plunk testing, and we should be good to go right now, tell you what. All right, so we did have to switch this out to put our expander in to open those necks up. So we've reset our seating die with our dummy round just a minute ago. So we'll see if we are back to 1.90-ish, 1.092. That's gonna be just perfect. So we'll go ahead and get these seated. And that one did go in much easier than the last batch since we have expanded these out just a little bit further. So I'm not thinking we're gonna see any sort of shaving of our powder coating, but we'll still be careful and double check everything. And also I misspoke earlier saying that we used the Lee seating die with the seating stem that created this little round corner. However, that was actually our RCBS die that's over there on the Dillon. So we're using our Lee die now with the seating part that goes in here for our sizing die. So totally different setup, but it is giving us these nice flat noses just like we're supposed to have. And once again as well, these bullets all weigh the exact same as the bullets in the other group there. So the only difference should in theory be our case capacity between the different case heads. That one felt like it went right in. Blazer brass. Interesting. All right, time to switch over and we'll get all this crimped up real quick. So we actually have our Lee factory crimp die, and we'll have to get this set up. And remember, this does have a carbide ring going through the body, so it's going to help smooth out any bulges or anything like that. And we just have enough crimp there to close up any of that expansion we had, but nothing too extreme. Beautiful. Testing it in our barrel. Free motion in and out, it falls out with ease. So let's finish these up here. We'll be ready to go and test these. And here we are, all crimped up, ready to go. We have passed the plunking examination and we are ready to go to the range. So if you enjoy this sort of content, feel free to subscribe to the channel and like the video. If you'd like to support the channel in other ways, you can join the Dummy Round compound with a channel membership, and you can also head on over to patreon.com/dummyround. So stay tuned for more. We're going to take these to the range, get some chronograph data, see if our mixed head stamps make a difference compared to our matching ones. And then we're probably going to load up 50 or more and just go have a blast with them if this ends up being our charge. So we will see you in the next video. Have a good one!